one line of coverage that most people just aren't that familiar with, but really need to be, and we do get occasional inquiries, so I thought it'd be good for us to talk about, is personal umbrella insurance, right?
Yep.
So first of all, just take a minute and explain what is a personal umbrella policy.
So an umbrella liability policy is basically a policy that provides liability protection over and above your underlying auto, homeowners, boat, other personal type of insurance policies.
So it's why we call it umbrella, because it covers over all of your other insurance policies.
Exactly.
The umbrella policy is going to give you excess limits, basically, in the insurance industry parlance, right?
So one way to think about it, let's say you're driving home from work this evening or tomorrow or next week, and there's a pop-up thunderstorm, which we often have here in St. Louis.
Right.
You hit a slick spot, you rear-end somebody, don't realize that the traffic has stopped up ahead of you. Rear-end somebody just happens to be a 40-year-old lawyer, attorney, CPA, pick your poison.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And he's hurt badly. Obviously, it's your fault. You're going to be held liable for the injuries.
Right.
So he's going to claim medical bills, rehab, lost wages, pain and suffering, mental anguish, whatever else the attorneys come up with.
Exactly.
And it can easily go over that, because we know how expensive it is to be in a hospital, the medical bills, the rehab, and so on.
And there's no fixed number for which you have coverage. But I mean, typically, homeowners or auto policy is going to cover you for $300,000 or so in liability damages.
So the state minimum is $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident, $10,000 property damage liability. That's pretty low.
That's not much. You're not getting much coverage if you at $25,000.
And to be honest, our agency has a practice that we will not offer those limits, period.
Because they're just inadequate.
It just puts us as an agency in a bad position.
Right.
If we're truly an insurance advisor, we should be advising our clients to have higher limits than that, which we do. As a general rule, if you got a typical household, a married couple,
couple of
both
kids,
working,
a dog that's going to bite the neighbor next door. I mean,
yeah.
any sort of things that might happen where you're liable for damages or injuries to another person, place, or thing.
They're going to have normally 300, so it's $100,000 bodily injury liability per person, $300,000 bodily injury liability per accident. The reason there's two numbers, if there's more than one person in a vehicle and they're injured, they would get no more than 100 per person, but up to 300 total as a result of this one accident.
Right. So if our listeners out there and they're concerned about not having enough coverage, I mean, the maximum in a homeowner's or liabilities are a maximum 500,000. So if you have assets of really, more than 500, you kind of want to have more coverage than that.
So normally where we suggest an umbrella policy is if they've got 300,000 or more in net worth, okay, positive assets minus liabilities, then they should really be considering it. The thing about it is an umbrella policy starts at $1 million coverage, and it typically will run you anywhere from $150 to $250. Could go up if you have more vehicles, youthful operators, more toys.
So you're saying the cost of the umbrella policy is only $250?
On the high side, most likely.
And that's an annual premium, right?
Correct, for $1 million worth of coverage.
So that's really pretty amazing. So if you are thinking about, coverage or how to protect your assets, and we talk a lot about that on the show with a couple of different expert contributors that we have, but from an insurance perspective, if you want to just really make sure that you've got $1 million or $2 million or $3 million of coverage on the liability side, we're talking about $250, $300 a year. That's nothing.
It really is.
And it's huge protection that's there when you need it. So if somebody or if you are thinking about learning more about this, you should call Dave Pashia at
636-240-7400.